Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the BNR Racing Network, brought to you by the BNR Truck Series tonight, here from mid-Ohio. A 2.25 mile track. Lots of lefts, lots of rights, a lot of slips, a lot of slides. Race number 14, I do believe, here in the Truck Series. So as these guys do a little road course racing. They get one lap qualifying. And I am going to go a little race information here. So as we see here, current weather is 77 degrees, 37% humidity, partly cloudy, 6 mile per hour wind. 35 laps, which is 78 miles, or 77.8 miles. 80% fuel. These drivers will be pitting one time. They get unlimited tires, one quick fix, and we have no cautions here tonight. All green flag runs, no cautions. Best of luck to each and every one of these drivers here tonight. So hopefully we get a lot of battles. Brandon Moore with a 129.3 on top of the board at this current time. I do believe it is 12 turns. As Mark Berry will be P2. Richard Johns will be P3. Dave Berry on top of the board with a 128.9. So that'll move Brandon Moore to P2. JD will be P6. Yes, but they do get one lap of qualifying, so these guys are just taking extra time on the track to get used to it, get wind up, and get ready to have a great show. 35 laps tonight. Originally was scheduled for 65, but we don't want to keep you guys here all night. We'd like you guys to enjoy at least some time with the families, so but that will conclude tonight's qualification here. Good evening, Will.
Good evening, Brian. Sorry, I was kind of lagging behind a little bit, but it's okay.
Yes, you are all good. Only 6 qualified here. Rest are going to start wherever they start. Um, that's for sure. There's still another couple minutes. I don't think anybody else is going out. But anyway, Will, while we still have some time left, why don't you go over the history slash foundation of this phenomenal road course of Mid-Ohio?
Well, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Park, built in 1962. Well, that's whenever it was actually opened for first racing. The SCCA, which operates Trans Am, they used to operate the ASA stock car division. I'm not too familiar if they still do or not. I don't think they do. I think it's a different organization that operates the ASA. But anyway, like I said, originally Trans Am and sports cars raced here, and then open wheel came with the form of IndyCar and kart, respectfully, and it took NASCAR quite some time to come here. They didn't start coming here until about, what was it, 2016 was the first Xfinity race, I think, held here, somewhere in that era, maybe 2014. Could be maybe 2012.
It might have been
I want to say 20. I know Chris Buescher has won here, Justin Marks has won here, some other notable names have won here. So it is a very cool track. The IndyCars and IMSA series, their start line is actually coming out of what is called the keyhole. There's a hairpin turn, and right after you come out of that turn, there's kind of a kink straightaway here, and there is actually a starting stand and a starting line over there, because where the finish line is, or the other start finish line, isn't really long enough for sports cars and Indy cars to start on that straightaway. So that's why a handful of years ago back they moved the starting line for some sporting series basically to another location. IndyCar is very notable about doing that, moving their starting line at some racetracks, and they have a finish line at a different spot, basically on the pitch straight normally. But yeah, this is kind of a mixture of a road course, because you have long straightaways, and then you have a good amount of twisty bits, a lot of left-right-handers. There is a double right-hander portion of the track. Lots of turns here that are just kind of off camber, off kilt, I guess you could say. And predominantly in a stock car, as far as Xfinity or truck, I would say you're predominantly second to third gear here. More than likely, I know in a sports car here, at least in a GT3 car, you are shifting a lot. There's a lot of shifts that you do here. The GTP cars here, the newer are the modern North American prototypes here, or if you want to call them DPIs or LMDHs. They are quite fast around here. Watch them work through traffic. But Mid-Ohio, I think it's a very nice flowing circuit. It is always fun and enjoyable to watch any races that are televised here, whether it's like the Trans Am series on YouTube or IMSA that comes here. I don't think GT Challenge North America comes here. I think they go everywhere else but Mid-Ohio, unfortunately. But it's a pretty fun circuit, I think. Why is there such a long delay, Brian, in between?
For what?
Like, shouldn't the trucks be like gritting and everything, or what?
Yeah, I
What's
gave them 10 minutes of qualifying in case if. Uh,
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just gonna keep talking here a little bit more, I guess. But
Well,
yeah,
we're
Mid
all getting
Ohio.
up.
Oh, okay, that's nice. But uh, right as I start to wonder, but yeah, Mid Ohio has a lot of challenges. Like I said, it is a predominant second to third gear circuit. I would have to say, not really. I don't really think there would be too many parts of the track where you would actually be in fourth gear. Maybe the long straight after the keyhole. I'll show you, Brian, where the keyhole is, or what they call the keyhole.
I'm gonna go over to starting
But
grid real
looks.
quick.
Oh, I don't think you'll have time.
Nope, they're going.
Yep. My apologies for just
No,
keeping
you're
on
good.
time.
You're good.
I never knew when they got gridded, but looks like Dave Barry qualified on pole, so they are approaching the keyhole right here. This right hand hairpin here is what is considered the keyhole, and STP who is in that truck got really brave. And Brandon Moore, okay, Brandon Moore is in something different this week. But he got really gutsy and threw it on the inside into the keyhole. And I mean, I don't blame him. If he is that confident, if he feels like he can really attack these corners, because for the most part, a lot of these corners, especially this kind of section that we're going through here, you kind of need to attack. But also, you have to know the track in order to attack the track. That knowing is half the battle. That's a great thing to say in this type of situation. But this is, like I said, it's a great flowing track. It's very up and down. Lots of different inclines and all.
Phil.
I think possibly could have had maybe a little bit of help, or maybe just collided with another truck there on corner exit. That's exiting the double right-hander onto the kind of the Keent straightaway coming towards the start-finish straight here this evening for the trucks on pitch straight. And looks like J.D. O'Brien bringing the Wheelan number 7 down pit road. Possibly could have got caught up with the Philip Bridgman incident. I wasn't too sure who clipped Philip in that incident, or what happened there. So maybe we could take a look at it, Brian, if it's in your.
Yep.
There we go. So maybe it was kind of a self-spin here, possibly, going through the double right-hander. There's a little short shoot, then another right-hander, then, oh, okay, so there was a truck off before Phil got there. That kind of made it look like there was 2 trucks involved, but just getting back on throttle here at Mid-Ohio on some of the corner exits are very tricky because, like I said, very like up and down hill sections, and kind of getting on throttle basically at the crest of a hill, or right after you kind of like top that little slope. Very different, very difficult as far as weight, how the physics and the weight transitions throughout, basically coming off of the corner and off that little crest there, down the little slope. Even the pitch straight is not, Joe Stipe. having I believe that's Joe,
The 13th?
having yes,
Yes.
having a problem out of turn one, what would be considered, I guess, NASCAR turn one here at Mid-Ohio. It's a multi-purpose facility. There's club circuits, there's sports circuits, and there's also the actual regular long normal circuit of which we are on this evening, or today. All about basically keeping it on the paved stuff here. You see that this is almost like any other normal road course as far as like plenty of runoff, but the runoff is gravel and grass. And Brian, if you get just a wheel off in the grass on iRacing, or really any sim, a set of course at iRacing, whatever, grass in sim or in games vastly different to how it is in real life, and it basically can work the same. It'll pull you more so most of the time into the grass, or it'll spin you out somehow or another. So you really want to keep it between the lines on the paved stuff, as Brandon Moore now, Dave the pole sitter, Dave Barry in the 56, kind of now just back on the heels of Brandon in that STP 47, and I guess it's kind of the battle of the oils, even though one is a lubricant and the other is actual gasoline. Another, I believe this could be a battle here.
This is going to be the battle for 9th with Philip Bridgman and Kyle Gooden.
A road course that doesn't quite really have too many long straightaways. Like I said, coming out of the keyhole, you have that long straightaway there. If you want to call it long, like I said, it's got a kink right before that hard right-hander into the kind of off-camber left downhill into another right. But it also, right before you get to the keyhole, you got that little short chute out of... That's exactly what I was talking about, dipping a tire off into the grass. It's going to be like a 50-50, and he's in the tire barrier now. So
at least it
I think that also...
Maybe a little...
Right. He...
Left fender bender there.
He didn't lose any of the front fascia of the bodywork, so maybe he didn't knock a toe out or nothing, so it could not, maybe not too much damage, but I think that all started when he dipped the right sides off about a turn before that happened. So, like I said, just got to try to keep it on the island, keep it between the paint. Man, even though J.D. O'Brien pitted, possibly for some quick repair real quick or something, still don't know why he pitted on could have had a penalty, I guess, maybe a drive-through or something from a previous encounter. But
to my knowledge,
he just passed Joe. Okay, don't think so. Bridgman and Small having a tussle, I believe. So they're close together.
Richard Johns hanging strong P4, but Jacob Carter sniffing that tail end of the 51 eventually. Good to see him out here. Hopefully everything goes well and he can make a lot more races now. But as you know, here we got a couple of road course ringers. Some aren't any at all, but it's always good to see a selective handful of drivers out here, Will, on this tricky track of Mid-Ohio. So
yeah, the top 5 are covered currently only by 16.5 seconds. And then there's about was that a 20-second buffer maybe from Carter today? No, that's yeah, about a 20-second buffer from Carter to Michael Day from 5th to 6th, and Chris Camary there. Carter now all over the back of Richard. Richard going to go wide into the corner entry, possibly letting Jacob have that position through the double right-hander. Oh, that wasn't the double right-hander. That was the final corners of the lap. My apologies. Kind of sometimes the aerial view, you'll kind of get mistaken or not necessarily lost, but you're still looking for visual clues sometimes, and then you just kind of forget, I guess, where you're at on the track, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah. 7 of 35 complete, Will. The good thing is here, no cautions on road courses, so they tend to just run it all the way through. So, which gets these guys in and out of the track. So,
yes, thankfully I'm not a race director for a league that goes to road courses, or else there would be cautions. So, thankfully I'm not a race director.
The only time they throw it is if like there was part of the track like blocked. For an example, we'll just use the roll.
Well, you know what I mean. If I was a race director for a league, things probably would be different. But, yeah.
Well, you know, most of these boys, they...
I mean, it's good to see, you know, certain races, you know, without cautions, but you still have the incidences that, of the mistakes that people make to basically where they fall out of contention to be able to win said race. So it's super hard to recover if you can't get a caution whatsoever. And even on an oval, you know, if that caution doesn't come out that you need, it is extremely difficult.
Well, these drivers head to Pocono next week.
Yes, Pocono, tricky triangle. So can't wait to see that. Joe Stipe, first truck, 1 lap down, by the way. First competitor going a lap down. Jacob Carter now reeling in Mark Berry. Jacob Carter, always good on the road courses for the most part, I'd have to say. Just about almost any time you see him on a road course, he always lights it up. Now, these truckers are going to have to make a pit stop during this race. They only get about, I guess if you're pushing it, you know, it's going to be probably 18 to 19 laps, we guesstimate, on a full tank. And if you're not really pushing it, you might be able to get 21. So
almost contact there, Will, with the 22 and the 9, as Jacob Carter can attack a little bit more the corners better than Mark. And Mark is holding that defenseless line. There we go. And yes, Carter almost had an oopsie to the poop.
I don't know if he straddled that rumble strip that's there, basically being a guard for the pit exit line. I'm going to see here in just a moment if he did, though. Hold on, and I'll be able to tell you. You got to be careful right there. Just that. No, yeah, he did hit it. The left front. He hit it with the left front. There's a rumble strip curbing that basically divides the pit exit lane right there in turn 1 after the start-finish stripe here at Mid-Ohio. And you got to be careful not to hit that. You want to turn towards it. You want to turn to it. You want to get as close as you can to it without hitting it. and if you do hit it, it is going to upset that uh, that truck severely. We just saw it with Jacob there. He had a handful. Look at that.
Well, we are slowly, ever so slightly closing in already on 25 laps to go. I do believe next time by, as you see there, Kyle Gooden now in the pits.
Oh, that's who was behind Dave. I thought that was Michael Dave for a moment, but it was Kyle.
Carter with the rear of his truck slipping out from underneath of him. He is charging.
You said Kyle.
Yes, sir.
You said Kyle's in the pits, so that I don't think he's going to make it to the end of the race, but maybe that.
Phil. What a save! Good save.
Excellent save by Philip. Yes, but maybe that damage he sustained earlier is just a bit too much to still stay out on the track at the moment. So that's the only thing I can kind of guess to maybe why Kyle was pitting early, because like I said, that fuel window has not opened yet. Like you said, we're only about that 25 lap, 24 to go area. We need it to be about 21, maybe 20 to go, Brian, before people would start pitting. Maybe Dave. Brandon might go the distance with fuel. Dave could probably pit early and try to do an undercut, because for some reason Dave has fallen over 6 seconds back from Brandon Moore. I don't know if that's maybe through a little bit of traffic. Maybe he could have hit some curbing the wrong way. Lots of different things could have happened for him to get that far back. But Mark Berry doing a great job holding off Jacob Carter at the moment, I'd have to say.
Oh, yeah.
As Jacob going through the little, I guess you could call it almost like a chicane. Oh, Josh spun it around. I keep bouncing up and down, looking at the television, then looking down at the phone. So I see stuff sometimes delayed, sometimes I see it live. So it's one of those 50-50 deals, I guess. Coming up on Joe Stipe, this little battle pair right here. Gonna have to see how they can navigate that to the best of their abilities. Traffic can always be a make or break. Mark gonna run almost wide there. Jacob's gonna get a run now. He had all the trees, all the three-dimensional trees, just always in the way. But anyway, now Jacob's going to get a good run through the final sector of this lap, and Mark, I don't know if he finally just just kind of seceded that position or what. He kind of went wide in the final set of corners there, going through what I guess you could call a carousel, but Jacob Carter finally got by Mark Berry after, how many laps was that behind him? Six or seven laps behind. Mark Berry kind of just struggling, trying not to, I guess you could say, plow Mark off the track into the field, but he was doing everything he could to get by Mark, wait for Mark to maybe slip up, make a mistake. Mark never really made a mistake, though. Mark is a very consistent driver. He hits his points, he hits his spots where he needs to for the most part. And if you see Mark kind of making a mistake, it's almost like somebody T-boned him, Mark doesn't necessarily make too many mistakes. Seems kind of like a good, consistent driver, but always he just kind of seems like he gets caught up in other people's stuff sometimes. Unfortunately, that can be the cruel outcome of racing, motorsport at times. But Mark does have a couple of wins this season in the BNR Truck Series, so finally was able, to make it to victory lane. So good for Mark. Jacob, now going to have to try. He was about 22 or so seconds when he got to Mark, right? But
Yes, sir.
that gap opened up about 7 seconds. So that extra time that he was still struggling behind Mark cost him dearly, you could say. So I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of start seeing people pitting.
As you see here, Brandon Moore closing in on Josh Small. As Josh Small says, just go ahead. And these wonderful trees here, just, well, I mean, keep getting...
There are other camera views we can use, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Philip trying. He says, hey, wait, give me a moment. Don't pass me there. So, Brandon working his way through the field. Smooth, just being very easy, methodical, and sometimes deep through the corners. Brandon's doing everything he can, though, to try to win this race. Opened up that lead now to 9 seconds over Dave Barry, so I don't even think, unfortunately, I don't think the undercut could help Dave at this point.
No.
But as far as I know,
his pace and he's just going.
As far as I know, for a good handful of these drivers, a good portion of them didn't have Mid-Ohio. They just had to buy it quickly, or got it today. So
Brandon's flinging it in there, ain't he?
Kind of a steep learning curve. Yeah, I would kind of say, but that, you kind of are capable of doing that here at Mid-Ohio. If you can get the right run into the corner, you can drive it pretty deep into some of these corners. So Mid-Ohio was a track on the NASCAR Heat Games, so some drivers might find this track a little familiar. Of course, you're not going to be able to drive it completely the same like how you could on Heat. Every track from Heat onto a sim or transfer onto iRacing, if you make the switch, it is not at all the same driving technique, the same driving style. You almost have to learn a whole new driving style when you make that switch or kind of cross over. So steep learning curves always, especially on the road courses.
Yes, indeed there, sir.
20 laps to go. I would assume it's 20 to go, right? So
not yet. 21.
Oh, still okay. Mid-Ohio race is going better than the COTA race did, as far as being at least on the same lap and everything. Or nearabouts close to it.
Yeah.
As far as the stream goes, is what I mean.
Yeah. Maybe it might be a little bit delayed, but.
Well, Josh Small has found his battle buddy Philip, so Philip and Josh are gonna go back at this battle, it looks like, and Dave Barry has caught the pair.
Oh, they just hit 20 now.
So 20 to go.
So pit stop should be arousing shortly.
Yes, either this lap or what we would suspect to be the next 3 to 4 laps.
As Dave Barry falls about 12 and a quarter back from John. So he's got some ground to make up. I mean, 12 and a quarterback from Brandon. I know why I said Josh. That's because Josh is in front of him. Or behind him. But if anything, he's going to have to capitalize on some turns. I know finessing around lap traffic can be difficult at majority of the road courses because you're trying to give each other some room on the track where others are still learning. So
Well, I would think just not that, but once you get off the racing line, oh man, Philip almost had it saved, but unfortunately it went sliding. Once you get off the racing line, you're kind of out into the dirty parts of the track, and you're kind of out in the marbles, perhaps, and Philip really having trouble there out of the double right-handers this evening, and Chris Camary got jumped, I guess you could say. So Chris and Josh are probably going to have a battle here. Chris is going to replace Phil in that battle with Josh. But I could imagine, Mid-Ohio, for the most part, kind of a one-lane track. And once you get out of that lane, or once you get out of that racing line, it's probably difficult. We saw earlier some of the slower trucks trying to make their way or give the race leader room and get out of the way. And he kind of saw how difficult that was, just trying to get out the way of, say, a faster person. Richard Johns in the pits. Scheduled pit stops happening now with 19 laps to go.
Yes, sir, indeed. So Richard was the first one to come down. It's Philip there again, off track, into the tire barrier there. Very rough go for him, but like I said, learning curve. So
I'll just be glad I wasn't race director. We would have saw like 2-3 cautions.
oof.
So
Last minute decision by Phil.
Mark Berry comes into pit as well.
Oh, as Josh goes off the track there.
Hopefully nobody hits him on the rejoin. Got to be careful here, rejoining. He wasn't quite in the racing line like I thought he was. That camera was a tad bit deceiving, but
I see here Carter trying to be patient behind old JD here. And JD's just going to say go ahead.
No, actually, JD, he got loose there getting back onto the throttle. He spun his tires there on that exit of that right-hander and just gave a big door of opportunity for Jacob to get by. Is actually what happened. It looked like there, Brian, not trying to, step on you or nothing, just kind of what it looked like. That pagoda is just in the way at times, I tell you.
Yes. Yes. A daggone pagoda.
Even in real life.
At Mid-Ohio. Oh, yeah.
I don't know what else you would call it. It looks, similar to what they have at Indianapolis, and they call that a pagoda. So, I mean, if that could be a pagoda, this could be a pagoda.
So as this battle right here, Will, 8th and 9th, that's the battle for 8th place between Josh Small and JD. unfortunately, those boys are one lap down. So,
well, one of the closest battles on track, like you say, between O'Brien and Josh. Josh keeps finding people to be racing around, so that's always good to have somebody to kind of judge, your braking speed, I guess you could say, in front of you. To have kind of like like a like a like a test rabbit, I guess you could say.
yes.
Back in the olden days, in the 50s and 60s, whenever sports car racing was really taking off, a lot of cars, a lot of teams would come to these races with multiple cars, either be 2, 3, sometimes up to 5 cars a race, depending on the race, how prestigious the race was, and different things like that, right? So you would have, say, 1 or 2 cars just blitz, just take off from the start of the race, and that would be basically kind of like your target car to kind of pace your own self off of. Say, for instance, the unfortunate 1955 Le Mans race, which unfortunately was the 1955 Le Mans disaster. But anyway, Mercedes and Jaguar, they showed up with like 3 cars apiece, right? And they were determined. Each manufacturer was determined, to at least win the race with one of these 3 cars, or get on the podium with all 3 of these cars. And unfortunately, that day turned out to be such a tragic day in racing history. But learned from it since, and have improved, I would have to say, at least tenfold. And that's why we have so much safety, I guess you could say, with racetracks nowadays. But as far as, like, always having, they say, like that rabbit or the hare out in front to kind of chase down, that's one reason why a lot of your sports car teams are your open wheel teams, like your Formula One teams. That's kind of a logic between having a 2-car or a multi-car organization, in a sense. That's kind of where all that comes from. Is you can have that quick, fast person or people out front just about the entire time, but if something happens to them, you've got Mr. Consistent that's just been pedaling, just making sure the car's staying on track, doing everything it needs to do. And if your hare or rabbit falls out of the race or something happens, hey, there's that other person that's kind of just been riding around, biding his time. That's kind of what David Pearson used to do, in NASCAR. He would take a 10th place car and go up and finish in the top 5 or top 3, or maybe even win the race at the end of the day. So
as you see here, Brandon Moore pitted last time by. Dave pitted a lap or 2 before Brandon Moore. So
I still think, did Jacob jump David in the pitting, or?
Jacob hasn't pitted yet.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. So
Good save by Rich.
somehow Jacob has managed to attack but save fuel. It is possible. I was going to say, it is possible to do at road courses, charge hard, attack. For instance, that those laps that he was behind Mark, kind of trying to have to repace himself, I guess you could say, waiting for Mark to maybe mess up or overdrive a corner to get by him eventually. He could have saved a little bit extra, perhaps.
Carter's now pitting this time by, so.
I did not suspect anyone at all to be able to go this long after what we got told what the fuel was going to be, or what it was. So
I think we have a special guest in here with us tonight.
Well, they could have just popped in to watch the stream.
Oh yeah.
That's always all right to do,
Oh yeah, especially at road courses.
If I had to bet, I guess it's Kyle.
Yeah, because I'm terrible.
Kyle, how was the truck handling out there? What was the conditions and what were you having to face that was challenging you the most out there, Kyle?
Well, really, the biggest thing was like wheel hop going into the corners. It's,
yes, I've seen a lot of that.
It just comes around on you or drives straight, won't turn for you. That's pretty much the biggest deal.
Well, sir, you do have deja vu next week. Y'all be heading to Pocono. Okay. Yes, that's why I said deja vu for you.
It's Pocono.
Remember, tone down your aggression.
Oh, yeah. No driving straight.
Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah, just pop in there like John Cena and be ruthless aggression.
Right. Attack the turns hard, capitalize, which I do believe you might do quite very well there. Pocono's another rhythm track, so it is just.
Well, we got a surface.
Oh, Brandon lost it. The leader has spun out on the track, which will give Barry a little time. No, it won't. What the hell?
That was going into that right-hander after that long kinked straightaway that we talked about coming out of the T-hole section of the track. Basically, like I said, that long straightaway that could be used as a start straight. And you got that right-hander with the long sand pit. If anybody has watched any IndyCar this season, that would be the part of the track here at Mid-Ohio where Simon Pagenaud possibly ended his career at. Unfortunately, big Simon Pagenaud fan, and hate the fact that he has not been able, or that he was not able to finish out the season, and full on got replaced at Myers Shake Racing. But
just like
when you're not medically cleared, I guess, to know what the heck you're going to be able to do. But I was really hoping he would be the driver of the second Chip Ganassi Cadillac next year, because I think Chip has said.
Drive for Junior? No. That's Piquet. My bad.
Yeah.
I think, isn't it?
Miguel Paludo.
That's it. Paludo. Thank you. But I knew it started with a P. I just couldn't remember. Boy, Josh is pit.
Yeah, he races for Dale because he's got Brandt as a sponsor down in Brazil in the Brazilian Stock Car Series. Okay. So when he doesn't have a conflicting event or race, he comes up here and does the Xfinity road courses for Dale in the 88 car, yes. As long as he doesn't have...
I just got a little
Miguel Pluto.
Confuzzled there. I knew it was one of them. Don't even know why.
Nelson PK, or I don't, or not PK. I know who you were talking about or thinking about. He raced in the Truck Series.
Yes.
For Jeff Hammond's team, or the team that Jeff Hammond had stock in, I guess you could say.
Of course.
Oh.
Hey, Kyle.
Red Horse? Yes.
See, Kyle.
They had the number 11. They had the number 17. That was the team that Timothy Peters drove for a handful of years, and unfortunately, they lost a bunch of sponsorship and had to go under, and that's what happens. And in racing, a lot of times, when you lose your sponsors, you don't really have the money to keep competing, so you can't really you can show up to the track with a plain white or black car, but that doesn't necessarily pay the bills. So,
and especially if it gets wrecked, that's another hefty bill.
Yeah, that you're paying out of your own pocket.
All you do is ask Dale.
Yep.
He can tell you about that. But anyway, 9 laps to go.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Took the words out of my mouth. Brandon on the onboard with, we're not doing Meatloaf karaoke. You can really see on certain parts of the track, even on the outside camera looking in, Cameron, oh man, I just threw Brandon under the bus. Brandon really wheeling that truck here at Mid-Ohio. Yeah, just mute your mic if you're going to keep laughing, Brian. Good Lord. But mistakes happen. We're just going to keep rolling on with it. I think it's funny. Brandon has a Camping World banner. Oh, also Josh has a Gander. Why don't these guys change their windshield banner? Come on now, get with the times, guys. Get with the times.
Some of the paint schemes, they still have them set for last year.
Oh.
And, yeah.
Well, that sucks.
So, wait. Oh.
What did I miss while I was looking at my television while I'm a half a lap back? What happened?
A hard charging by Brandon to the inside of Josh.
Oh, okay. He just wanted to get inside of Josh. I got you.
Yes.
See, keep making racing great again with those R ratings. Get into the X ratings here in a second. Don't worry. But
as long as
I was kidding, Kyle. What, Kyle? I talked over you there. What, Kyle?
I just said hopefully Brian keeps his clothes on, so we don't go into that.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about Brian. He just picture a well, and that's Brian. So.
Oh, Philip. Slippy. Almost in front of Dave, which could have possibly.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's second place man there. So Barry. Jacob lost a lot of ground too, Dave, I'd have to say. Of course, pit stop time here does, you do kind of lose a bit of ground, so did slap myself. Did Jacob not qualify?
No, he didn't.
Man, Jacob, see what would have happened if you would have qualified. You could have been up there battling with Brandon, but no.
He didn't have enough time because he was doing the up because it's been a while.
Excuses. Come on, he would have totally had enough time to rip a lap in.
That's what I said.
Oh well. Well, Richard might get a top 5 as long as he doesn't have another one of those off-road excursions like he did just a couple of laps ago, or a few laps ago, so might walk away with this one with a top 5 as long as Michael Day don't come out of nowhere. where is Michael on track compared to, trying to look on the track map here.
Coming by the start finish.
Well, I'm looking at the track map on my television, so you say other stuff, I'm looking at other stuff. So I would say they're like a half a track away from each other, just about. So I don't, unless Richard unless he goes for like a Winnebago or something, Michael unfortunately ain't catching him. But really good stand-up 6th place run here for Michael Day. He's another competitor, I think, that as long as he could stay out of other people's trouble, he could have a lot of good races go his way. But it's just unfortunate, sometimes that's just, like I said, and I repeat it again, that's just how did Brandon have a moment or something?
He might have, or unless Dave is pushing hard.
I think Brandon might have had another moment because a big chunk of time that we did not see, something happened that we did not see because a big chunk of time elapsed from Brandon to Dave, or from Dave to Brandon. Something happened. It went from like 9 seconds down to like 4 or something like that. Like something happened to Brandon. Don't be choking it away now, Brandon. You were led this entire race, and it's getting down to the nitty gritty, and you're gonna go find a beach somewhere to just chill in. Come on now.
According to my phone, nothing had popped up with Brandon or anything. So.
Well, maybe he just wanted to slow his pace down for some reason.
He's starting to realize, crap, Dave Barry's coming.
Well, according to the mini-map, they're on the same piece of track as far as, they are kind of together, I guess you could say. I don't know if Brandon could look in his mirror and see him. He should be able to on certain part of the track.
So, 5 laps to go, Will and Kyle.
And another good possibility is the more track time Dave has acquired, running these laps at this track, just track time is, the longer you get into the race, track time. So you've learned the track good enough, and maybe he has started to get into the rhythm of, okay, now I got to try to chase Brandon down, and he is slowly, almost lap by lap now, taking chunks of that lead away. Which you can see before we turn into the keyhole here. Dave Barry is there. He is on his way to Brandon Moore, I do believe. All Brandon Moore has to do to keep, kind of choking this away, I guess, is just, drive off the track, and that'll be solidifying the, best kind of quote is, the kind of quote a lot of people like to use, well, it's kind of your race to lose there, Kyle. Like you basically got this one in the bag, you won it. And as soon as somebody says something like that, you're like, oh, buddy, oh no, it's my race to, it's my race to lose. Oh no, I've basically got jinxed now. So you never want to hear that from anybody, or really, I guess, the commentators, but I kind of said that in X amount of words earlier. I kind of thought, well, Brandon really has this in the bag, but 4 laps to go here, and now that gap is only 2.5 seconds down. A little bit of lappery going on again, getting by Joe. So maybe getting by Joe here for David. You know, how long is it going to take Dave to get by Joe? Maybe Brandon could extend that lead a little bit more, as Dave, you know, kind of might struggle to get by Joe unless Joe just completely gentleman-like pulls. He is going to pull over, so all that hype of maybe the struggle was real is not. So Dave just has to.
That was good from Joe, though.
Oh, yes, very respectful, gentleman-like. And yeah, Dave is there. You know, he is definitely within, you know, mirror striking distance. And what I mean by that is all Brandon kind of has to do is kind of glance up at the top of his screen, look at that mirror, and every now and again he can see, you know, that Unical 76 icon of Dave's truck, and it's like, oh no, he's there again. How'd that happen? Like, you know, and sometimes all you have to do is just get off focus, and you're in a gravel pit. Like, it's so easy to lose focus, lose track of where you are. Chris Camary getting out of the way, it looked like, for Dave Barry. So, coming to get 2 to go once Brandon gets back to the stripe. Currently 2.5 laps to go. So this looks like a race that could potentially come down to the final lap.
Oh, Brandon.
Yeah, he almost dipped it, that's for sure.
Oh, there it is.
No, yeah, you're right. Almost collected Dave Barry. Wow, what a mistake by Brandon Moore, going through the final few sets of corners there with only 2 laps remaining. Or what would have been for sure 2 laps remaining, and don't know if possibly just getting back on the power a little bit too soon, perhaps, right in the center of that, I guess you could call carousel here at Mid-Ohio, but just unfortunately the truck just whipped around, like we said, power to weight ratio in a sense, going through some of these off camber or off tilt, or just how they are shaped into the hillside here at Ohio. You know, anywho, but
he's got a little bit of damage to the nose, doesn't he?
I think you're right, Kyle.
I think that might be what's causing him to start acting up. We missed something somewhere where he got some damage to the nose. That's when Barry started catching up to him. I started noticing the line right there. I thought it was paint scheme at first.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I really think you're right. I think whenever I noticed on the ticker or on the scoring pylon the drop of time, you can also see like the hood trying to pop up off like the fender welds as well. A little bit of damage, or that could be, I think that is paint scheme there. But yeah, I saw the drop in time, and we never were able to catch it or caught it, or, you know, and that front end damage, like you talked about, could be a good possibility. He could have maybe rear-ended one of the slower competitors here, possibly. I don't know if it's like a deceiving thing with the paint scheme or not. If he's got damage, I almost can't tell. I think he does, though. It does, don't it? Like it's so hard to tell. But that costly mistake here on the final, coming to the final laps of the race for Brandon Moore, It is like, but he lost a lot of time. Something happened. We don't know. Maybe we will get to ask him and talk to him why he lost so much time to Dave and eventually spun out and lost the lead. But I would assume Dave Barry is going through the final few sets of corners, taking the stripe now, being Brandon so far back.
Yep.
But Dave Barry here this evening wins here at Mid-Ohio, the BNR Truck Series. After running, I would say he would have got to Brandon on the final lap, or at least with 2 to go, if Brandon would not have made that mistake, or just not necessarily made the mistake, but possibly just got some wheel spin. Transitioning through that right-hander is the only thing I could really say or think of that happened to Brandon to really get that truck sideways, really slideways like happened. But big congratulations to Dave Barry. Like I said, he every lap he was learning the track, eventually got it dotted down, and he was hard charging in the final, what would you say that was, 8 laps of the race, guys? Like 10.
Oh yeah.
I would say the final 8 laps of the race. Yes. And man, that did not disappoint. That's for sure. These guys put on a show. We had some battles throughout the field, whether they were laps down or not. They were still battling for position. Unexpected finish, the way it played out. Would have loved to have seen Brandon and Dave completely fight for it, but unfortunately, like we saw, Brandon kind of had that error, or the truck just got away from him, unfortunately. And as they're on the cool down lap, going to the pits, and Dave Barry, you would think, would be out there doing victory celebration of some type, then we can get and talk to our podium finishers of the evening, Jacob Carter, Brandon Moore, and Dave Barry. But I can understand that Brandon Moore would not want to talk to us this evening. He probably would feel very bummed out about what transpired. But so Dave Barry, Brandon Moore, Mark Barry. Oh, that was qualifying, Brian. Now we go, race results. Thank you. So, Dave Barry, Brandon Moore, Jacob Carter, Mark Barry, Richard Johns, like I said, with that top 5 finish. Michael Day, stand-up 6th place finish, almost got a top 5. Chris Camary in 7th place, Philip Bridgman 8th, John O'Brien, J.D. O'Brien, as we like to call him, Joe Stipe, Josh Small, and unfortunately the guy that ended up setting with us, Kyle Gooden. That is the race results. So now we will look forward to interviewing the podium finishers. Brian?
Yep, well.
There you go.
Get on, so we'll talk to
Carter dipped man.
No, he might have not been on Discord.
He was there whenever I got in there. Come on now, you finish in the top 3 and you're just going to leave on us? Be ashamed.
What's up, buddy?
Well, first off, Brandon, congratulations on dominating this race.
And then stepping on my dick.
Well, okay, so like the first time you stepped on it, I'm curious. So like there was, you had about a 10, maybe 11-second lead over Dave.
It's more than that. It's 20.
Yep.
I blew a 20.
Yeah, at one point, yes. At one point, it was about 15 or so. Anyway, did you hit somebody that we didn't know? Did you go off track at one point?
No, I spun myself.
Well, no. We saw that with like 2 laps to go, like coming to the stripe to get 2 to go. Yeah.
No, the first spin was by myself. It was a self spin at the end of that long straight. on the break.
Well, yeah, we saw that one too, but like there wasn't another one in between somewhere.
No,
Like,
no.
okay.
I
So
never touched
after that,
anyone.
okay, but after that spin, you were just kind of, you never could regain the composure, or
That last
like,
spin, those tires were pissed. Like when I say those tires were pissed, they were
well,
pissed.
yeah, because you spun
couldn't
out
get,
that one
yeah,
time. You know,
you couldn't get quarter throttle. It was like 1,000 horsepower wheel drive car in the rain on
okay,
the
so
slick, is what it felt
after
like.
you basically, so basically, you had flat spotted your tires, and you're kind of in kind of theory, that's kind of what happened. So you're still in the lead. You're trying to maintain that lead, but you're basically just tiptoeing around now. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, going through, I guess, what you would call that half a carousel before you get into that, I would kind of call it like a chicane before the stripe. You know, the truck just was like, okay, I can't do no more. It just
it
whipped
just jumped
around
out
on
from
you.
under me. Yeah.
Right.
I didn't even downshift in the second. It did that in third gear.
Man, I kept seeing the deficit come down, and David was catching you, man. I'm like, okay, he's going to get there with either 2 laps to go or right there at the white flag. And unfortunately, man, but anyway, next week's going to be Pocono. So what do you think? Maybe you could go into Pocono just guns a blazing, or what's going on there with Pocono?
Pocono's fun. You just got to make sure you hit your lines good and keep it on the bottom of the track, and keep it with the main pack, because it's going to be a big old pack fest. Just drafting. So it should be fun.
Now tonight here at Mid Ohio, I know for a lot of people it was kind of their first time racing here.
This is my first. I bought the track tonight.
So, like, what was your impressions of the track? What did you like or dislike about it?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was a ball. I wish I would have took tires though when I pitted. I didn't think anybody was going to take tires.
You didn't take tires when you pitted?
Absolutely not. That was a fuel only stop.
So, like, nobody really took tires, is what you're saying?
No, David took tires.
Oh, so maybe you should have took tires, Brandon.
Tires would have been a good idea. I didn't think tires would be a good idea with 35 lap race.
So maybe,
but what it boils down to is, if I wouldn't have overdrove the car on that one and lost that 20-second gap, I'd have been good.
Yes, if you wouldn't have overdrove the car.
Yep, if I wouldn't have overdrove it. But anywho, I'm not mad. That's P2.
Yeah, you're correct. It's P2. You didn't really, Jacob was back there trying to play catch up after he didn't, put down a lap for, in qualifying. So yeah, he was so far back there. He's back there in the woods trying to find a buck or something. So he probably could have done a couple of more donuts and then, got back into second.
Dude, I wouldn't have been surprised if he did catch me after that last spin. That truck was evil. That truck was evil.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but it was your race to lose.
It was, absolutely. That's what I said earlier. That's why I said what I said.
Well, Brandon, we already discussed Pocono, and we discussed everything about tonight, and what's coming next. Any shout outs or anything else you'd like to add about tonight's race? Love or anything you'd love to give?
Just my usual spiel. Thank everybody for coming out. Thank everybody for coming to the race, and hopefully we can go on to next week with some momentum and not piss off the rear tires. And let's take tires next week. That'd be a good idea for Pocono. What do you think? Just taking tires. Yeah, let's take
at
tires.
least right sides. At least
right. No, I want lefts. Who wants rights? I want left.
Can you do just lefts in iRacing? I think you can.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say it would be an optimal strategy, but you can do that.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us, Brandon. As pretty much almost always, you always seem to always want to get a good talking to after the race. So,
Oh yeah, I love it. That's why I'm here P2. I got to get at least P2 or P3 because we got to have these conversations.
yeah, exactly. So
This is why the folks watch right here, just for the comedy of some of the stupid things that I can say.
But yeah, good talking to you tonight, Brandon, and thanks for talking to us. Unfortunately, yeah, it was your race to lose, and you
I
lost
know
it.
we're gonna step on it again next week. Watch me.
Well, don't hurt yourself. That's for sure.
No, the first time hurt bad enough. I couldn't imagine round 2.
You probably won't have any feeling after that. But anyway,
Oh boy.
you have a good night, Brandon.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Hi, buddy. Oh, what a comedian he is, huh?
Yep. At least it could have been a lot worse. Yep. Hello, David.
Hey, gentlemen, what's going on?
Well, just nothing much. Just watching you kind of chase down Brandon there with no tires, and he literally had no tires. So, I thought it was going to be like 1-2 lap shootout. You were going to catch him, and then he had to go and spin himself out and ruin the race for everybody. But David, it seemed like you finally. I mean, you did qualify on pole, but Brandon jumped out there, early lead, big lead. He was dominating the race, and Brandon kind of had a couple of mistakes. If it probably wasn't for that, you may not have caught him. But there towards the end, I would say the final 9-8 laps of this race, it looked like you got into a rhythm, and maybe the fact that you took tires and he didn't on the pit stop kind of played a factor into that, perhaps a little bit. But man, David, tell us what you were just absolutely loving out there, or kind of struggling with as well, David.
Well, once he passed me, I just went ahead and went up the track, and just was going to settle in, see how things played out. But I got into a few little issues that caused me to drop back, and I just wanted to run it out to a certain time. Right. Letting a couple other guys race in front of me. Josh and Phil and Chris was having a good battle, so I didn't really want to interrupt it. So I was just kind of settled into second. And once I pitted, I went off course, so it basically made me pit. And once I pitted and come back out and ran the fast lap, the magic words came across. Brandon said, "Did you take tires?" And then I knew it was on. So you're right, I just tried to settle in and run some hard laps. And thankfully the guys were understanding that we were battling for the 1-2 spot in the win, and there was a lot of give and take. So I appreciate that very much from everybody.
Well, the bottle of water that I brought out here that I finally used. Look at that. Well, David, just looked like a great race that you ran. Like you said, you were being patient, and finally, literally, the race came to you, and you ran a spectacular race from every time we got to see you. You, like you said, you were being really patient, with the other competitors, letting them kind of have their fights. And early in the race, you were kind of staying with pace with Brandon. But like you said, you had some things that kind of compromised you, so you fell off the pace a little bit. But taking tires and your main other competitor here kind of didn't. And I really think if Brandon would have took tires, he thought it was just going to be a fuel-only race. Didn't really need tires. And I think if he would have took another, or if he would have took that set of tires that you took, he probably wouldn't have had that misfortune. I'm trying to remember the name of the corner that he originally messed up at. Anyway, but next week is Pocono, in the Pocono Mountains there in Pennsylvania. David, what do you think of that humongous track, that tricky triangle, the what turn for, what's what do you think the challenges you may face going into Pocono?
Well, I love Pocono. As you know, it's a great fun track. I mean, it's fast. Basically, the tunnel turn is where everything usually. If you mess up there, you've done messed up the entire lap. So you got to really be smooth through there. And I don't know, just trying to run a nice, fast pace, but yet careful pace, and see what happens. I guess. Maybe Brandon can gift me another one because he sure gifted me one tonight.
I always, Brandon and his, I don't want to say choking experience here tonight, but he sure did. It was his race to lose. But I kind of always felt like turn 3. If you messed up turn 3, then that leads on to the next lap, and going into turn 1, that top speed that you would be carrying down the straightaway, and if you kind of messed up turn 3, well, that puts you in a compromise to maybe competitors who are right behind you. Man, if they get that turn 3 down, they are going to be right there on you. I kind of, my difficult spot, like I said, was sometimes turn 3 at Pocono, and then turn 1 was kind of tricky, but then I always had a great tunnel turn just about almost every time. But I also know what you mean about the tunnel turn. It can just all funnel up and not be good. But David, congratulations on the win here tonight. Like I said, it looked like it was going to come down to the wire, but unfortunately, Brandon had to spoil it for us, as far as, being like a good knockout brawl between the two of you. Got anybody you'd like to thank, maybe give your shout-outs or anything else you'd like to add about tonight's race?
And I just want to thank Brandon again for the gift, because it definitely is. Definitely is. He went out there and put a spanking on. So I just got lucky, made the right call, I guess. And congratulations to Mark and Mike as well. The team finished 3 cars in the top 6, so that's just awesome. So congratulations to them guys, and I want to thank you and Brian for doing such a great job here at BNR Broadcast. So on to Pocono.
Well, thank you, Dave, for the kind words, the nice sentiments, and everything. And yes, forward on to Pocono next week. And then I think it's one more race, I believe, and then into the truck playoffs. So just kind of building, kind of collecting those points and trying to keep much of a buffer as you can in the playoffs, so then that way you can go into that championship 4, I guess you could say, or that final round, and hopefully win a championship here in the BNR Truck Series. So thanks for talking to us tonight, David, and congratulations on the win here again.
Thanks a lot, guys. We'll catch you next week, hopefully.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Well, that will do it here tonight from the BNR broadcast. From these BNR truckers. Oh, excuse me, my apologies. Overall, Will, I would say great race, pretty quick one. Not too bad. A lot of excitement on track that we have seen. We are back live Thursday, as these guys will take on, I do believe, Chicago Street Course. I do believe it is. So
yes.
So that's going to be an interesting one to watch too, as well. So.
Yeah, maybe Brandon could kind of give it away there too. Who knows? Just have to wait and see.
Yes, that's going to be something that we'll keep our eyes very, very closely on. So from myself, Brian Hunt, and Will Roberts, we want to thank you all so much for coming on out, cheering on your favorite BNR truckers, and us too as well. I've seen a couple of shout-outs in there from a few people cheering on me, Will, and then the whole team out here. So we thank you guys very much. We much appreciate it. Come back Thursday, same time. Go live at 8:25, as those boys will go Xfinity racing at the Chicago Street Course. And then you can catch Will again Saturday night, One Fox Studios on YouTube. Give them a like, follow, share. You'll hear Will's great commentary over there too, alongside of Chris. But for myself and Will, we thank you all for coming out.